In this section, we'll go over how to use the useEffect hook, and we will begin by importing it from React. Next, we can call the useEffect function under our useState call. And inside the parentheses, we can start off with an arrow function. Next, we can use a setTimeout function, and this would maybe simulate an API request to get some data from a database or server. And we'll use this useEffect hook with another property of state. And to add another property, of course, we need another useState function. So let's just, under our first useState function, let's just initialize a couple of values. We'll come back to this in 1 second. Inside of our setTimeout arrow function, we can call setUseEffectValue. And again, remember, this is just equivalent to this.setState. And we can pass in a value of useEffectWork. And we can use a 3000 millisecond timeout. And also notice in our setUseEffectValue call, we're not saying useEffectValue equals useEffectWork. We can just directly pass in the string. We don't need to reference the useEffectValue. In our render method, we can conditionally render useEffectValue. So if useEffectValue is true, we can just display that useEffectValue. If not, we can just display the text of no value. Next, we can just finish our second useState hook and just pass in an initial value of null. And you can also do an empty string if you like. And let's just go back to our render method and add a line break. And this line break just means to give a space between each HTML element if you weren't sure. And now we can test our app. And yes, it does seem to be working. In the slides, I also showed you that you can use the useEffect hook and call it when a value changes by passing in that value as an argument to the array. And we'll see how this works next. So let's go back to our editor and create a new function called changeUseEffectValue. And inside the arrow function, we'll set the useEffectValue to, let's just say, some string. Let's also create a button for it and pass in changeUseEffectValue to the onClick method. And finally, we can pass in state value to the array. And remember, state value is our first state property in the useEffect hook. So basically what this code is supposed to do when state value changes, which we can change with the increment and decrement buttons. And if state value changes, then the useEffect value will change to useEffectWork. And we have the changeUseEffectValue function to really make sure that it's working and that it's not just being called by setTimeout. So let's save and test our app. So let's go to hooks container. And yes, the setTimeout is working. This is what we should be saying. And yes, clicking our change useEffect button should change the string, should change it to some string. Now if we click on the increment local state button, it should change state value to 1. And because state value changed to 1, our some string should go back to useEffectWorked. So let's click and see. And yes, it is working as expected. Perfect.